Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hate doing intros, they make me uncomfortable. Hello everybody and welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Sophia and today's video is very self-explanatory because you read the title and thumbnail. We are going to be ranking romance book tropes. I like to think of myself as somebody who is very well versed in the romance genre of reading. That's a complete lie. I've just read a lot of books that Book Talk or BookTube have recommended me to read, but I have thoroughly enjoyed pretty much every single book I've read in the romance genre, whether that be adult, new adult, young adult, whatever. So I actually got this video idea from Sarah Caroli's one of her recent videos where she tier ranks her 5-star reads. I saw the video and was like, I want to do that, but I didn't feel like tier ranking my 5-star reads because I don't know, I just wasn't in the mood to like do that. So I was like, what is another tier ranking video that I could do that could still be fun and book related and interesting? And then my friends, this video idea came to be. I know others have done this and I'm sure you've probably watched a million videos of people doing this. This was like a huge thing probably a while ago, but I don't really care. We're gonna do it anyway. Without further ado, we're gonna tier rank. But first, let me tell you the twist that I have felt the need to add into this video yet again because it's one of my favorite things to do in the entire world. Use a tiny microphone. I ordered these on Amazon forever ago for like $10 and I've just always loved the idea of using these in videos, especially sit down ones where I'm talking for a long time because it keeps it interesting, everybody. I would like you all to know that this cup is not the cup I used today. I do have to wash it and that is why we're going to clip my mic to it. It's not being used. I'm not using it anymore and that is why we are propping my microphone up on it, just so everybody knows. Okay? Okay. I feel like this looks so goofy. We're gonna start the recording. Ready? 1, 2, and press a button. Okay. So I feel like the first thing we need to do before we get into tier ranking these very amazing book tropes, we need to go through my tiers and what they mean to me. So starting with the bottom tier, we haven't read that yet. This tier I feel like is very self-explanatory because it literally says like haven't read that yet, and that is for the tropes where I haven't really read a book that I feel like is that trope, and so therefore I feel I cannot have an opinion on it if I haven't read a book that has that trope. There's the bottom tier. The next one up is fingernails on a chalkboard. This is for the ones that I absolutely despise, that I do not like, that I will not pick up a book if it has that trope in it. I kind of doubt I'm going to find one that I'm gonna put in this tier, but we have the tier just in case, you never know. Next tier up is not a fan, but this is like the one where like I personally wouldn't pick it up, but I see why others pick it up. The one below it is like I have no idea why anybody likes this one. This is like I understand, but it's not for me, you know? My fourth tier is doesn't hit unless it's done right. This is very specific for like tropes that I've read very specific books of that I'm like, okay, this book is the exception for this trope, but the others, not so great, you know? My fifth tier is probably would pick it up, but it's not my favorite trope. I would probably pick it up, but again, not my favorite trope. Pretty self-explanatory. And the top tier, or you know, the tropes that I love the most and would pick up any book with, is literally I will read any book with this trope. So I think without further ado, it's time to get tier ranking. This one I feel like is a huge like debate on whether or not it's like a good trope in romance novels. I am someone who is purely reading for entertainment, not educational purposes. So I love this trope. We're gonna send that one right to I will read any book with this trope because genuinely I would probably read any book with this trope. Okay, moving right along everyone. Teacher student. I personally have only ever read one of my favorite books of all time, The Love Hypothesis. That is the only book I can think of that is teacher-student romance. So for that specifically, I would put it in I would read any book with this trope. But I feel like there are some that I would not read, like if it's like a high school student and their teacher dating, like that's disgusting. So I'm gonna put in doesn't hit unless done right because it has to be of appropriate age groups to be dating your teacher, you know what I mean? So yeah. Next trope, friends to lovers. This is one of my favorites, so I'm putting that boy right up with the I will read any book with this trope because friends to lovers is just so not chef's kiss. It's just a really good trope. You can really never go wrong with friends to lovers. I know you can do it wrong, but most of the time it's just so good. One of Us is Famous. The first book that came to mind was When in Rome by Sarah Adams, and I loved this whole like, she's this famous pop star and he kind of has like no idea who she really is for a little bit until like it kind of hits her who she is, and then he's kind of just like, well, you're famous, so what, whatever. And it was so cute. It was so cute. I've also read the Chestnut Spring series, which is also, some of them have people who are famous, like a bull rider and Jasper's a hockey player. So I guess those also count. So I'm gonna put that in like, I will read any book with this trope because the ones I've read of it so far, I've loved. So who knows? Brother's Best Friend. This one I think I'm gonna put in doesn't hit unless done right. Just because I've read some that are like a little iffy that I'm like, not my favorite, but like it's okay. That's all I have to say about it. Ooh, this next one is some hot tea in the book community. I feel like in the romance community specifically, and that my friends, is accidental pregnancy. I feel like either you're okay with it and it's like chill, you're not too big on it, but like you don't have any strong negative feelings towards it, or you absolutely despise this trope, you hate when it happens in books, things like that, you know? I personally am somebody who, if it's done right, it's fine. But I see where everybody comes from in some books I've read that have this. I was kind of like, what the hell, this is so unnecessary. But in others, I'm like, okay, this was cute. I liked the added like conflict kind of like, oh no, now you have a baby, like what are you gonna do? Like that's fun, but I get where people are coming from when they say they don't like this trope. Another one that I feel like is a very controversial trope in the romance community, age gap. I feel like, again, this is another one that, you know, if it's not done right, it's bad. It's not good. It's icky. It's gross. But if it's done well, I feel like it's okay. For me specifically, I think that the age gap needs to be not more than like 10-ish years. And then if she's like 21, then it's a no. It's an immediate no unless it's like 2 years difference between them. Because if she is like a fresh adult human being dating somebody who's like in their mid to late 30s, that's just a little odd to me personally, but do what you want to do, boo. The next one we have is Bad Boy Good Girl. This is another one that I feel like I personally don't know how I feel about it yet because I've never really read. I mean, I have, but at the same time, like it wasn't the main trope that I like picked the book to read it for. It just happened to be like what was happening. I'm gonna put it in like, probably would pick it up, but it's not my favorite trope. Moving along, we have bully romance. This is a trope that I know is going in the haven't read yet because I personally can't think of a book that is like a very specific like bully romance novel that I've ever read, so I have no opinion on it. I have an opinion on it, but I haven't read it, so I don't know. But my opinion is that it's weird. Anyways, moving on. Right person, but not enough time. When I was originally reading this list of tropes that this person put onto their tier thingy, I was kind of confused what this meant because I've personally never read a like right person, not enough time romance yet, I guess. I don't know. So I'm just gonna put it in I haven't read it yet because I don't know. Here's another one for the haven't read it yet, and that is Amnesia. Again, a trope that I just haven't like felt the need to seek out, and at least I don't think I've read it, but I don't know. Moving along, we have Best Friend's Brother. I'm putting this one straight in the I will read any book with this trope because I have a hot take of that Twisted Hate is my personal favorite in the Twisted series because Jules is just amazing. I love her. So her book was just my favorite, and that's Best Friend's Brother. This is a trope that, again, when I was reading, I was confused as to what this means, or really because I just haven't read it, and that is good boy, bad girl. I don't know. I can't think of a single romance I've read where like that was a trope that I can like pick out in my brain. You know what I mean? Moving along, we have mafia romance. I have one of them on my shelf, Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. I feel like I would have put it in I will read any book with this trope like a year ago, but now I think I'm gonna put it in doesn't hit unless it's done right because it doesn't hit unless it's done right. Like the Brutal Birthright series was like pretty much any mafia romance by Sophie Lark is just chef's kiss, like you can't go wrong. But I feel like there definitely is bad mafia romance novels out there. Friends with Benefits to Lovers. I'm trying to think if I've read this. I totally have. I had to have. Oh yeah, Icebreakers, Hannah Grace. That's friends with benefits to lovers. I feel like I would probably pick it up, but it's not a trope I feel like I would seek out. It's like not my favorite trope in the world, but I would probably pick it up. I feel like it's pretty interesting plot. I don't know. Moving on. I feel like I just need to keep going. One Bed. This one immediately stuck out in my head, and that is The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. Loved that. It was so good. Oh, and it happens in the Spanish Love Deception too. The one bed trope. Loved it. It was so cute. I like when there's like the forced proximity. That's like one of my all-time favorite tropes. Arranged marriage. This is another one where brutal prince comes into play because in that book there's an arranged marriage, and I really liked it, but I feel like if it's not done right, it's not good. There's my take. Love at First Sight. I feel like I'm gonna put it in doesn't hit unless done right because I'm not a huge Love at First Sight person, but if it's done right, it's good. Slow burn. You know? It's just simply what it is. If it's not done right, it doesn't hit. Point blank, period. Royalty. This is gonna be like such an unpopular opinion that I'm probably gonna get hate for it, but personally, Twisted Games from the Twisted series is my least favorite of the series. Don't get me wrong, I love Reese as a character and he's really cute, whatever. But personally, I feel like it was weird. I don't know, something about it just didn't like click with me the way the others books did. I mean, I feel like the first two just weren't my favorites at all anyway. The last two are my favorites because those are my two favorite female characters. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like if it's, I don't know. I'm gonna put it in not a fan because personally I don't seek out royalty romances, but eventually if I get to that point where I want to read that, that's fine. Okay, I'm back. Childhood friends to lovers. Oh my goodness. Put it at the top. Put it at the top. This is of course a book that I will read if I will read any book with this trope because childhood friends to lovers is just so sweet and so cute. Love triangle. Ooh, baby. I'm gonna put it in doesn't hit unless done right because I feel like that is a very big trope that like unless it's done right, it's a no bueno. You know? We have friends to enemies to lovers. I'm gonna say would probably pick up but not my fave, but also just because it's like enemies to lovers just isn't a romance trope, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I feel like I would probably pick it up, but again, like I wouldn't seek it out. Like I don't look for books that are specifically friends to enemies to lovers. You know what I mean? But I like that trope. It's a good trope. Okay, another friends to something to lovers, and that is friends to strangers to lovers, which I feel like is kind of the same thing as friends to enemies to lovers because like, you know, I don't know, but I'm gonna put it in probably would pick up, but won't, you know, it's not my favorite trope. I feel like I'm over explaining a lot of things. Moving on. Past trauma. I'm gonna put it in haven't read that yet because I'm not exactly sure what that means and I feel like I'm just gonna do that. Forbidden love. Ooh. Oh my god, ew. I'm making myself cringe like thinking about editing this later and watching myself be an idiot for 20 minutes. I'm just gonna move on. The first book that came to mind is a book from the Brutal Birthright series that I literally cannot for the life of me think of the name of at this very moment. Bloody Heart, something like that. I don't remember. I'll put a picture of it. This one. This is the only one I can think of that's like Forbidden Love, that like it stuck out in my brain like almost instantaneously as I read Forbidden Love. And I liked it, but I feel like again, if it's not done right, it doesn't hit. You know what I mean? Boy Obsessed. I don't know. A lot of these I feel like I've never thought about it being a trope in a book before, so I've just never realized if I've read a book where the boy's obsessed or it's the other. I don't know. Moving on. Academic rivals to lovers. I think we all watched my Love Theoretically video. I feel it needs no explanation. Strangers to lovers. I feel like this is like every book ever, honestly, unless they're like friends or whatever beforehand. So I'm gonna put it in. Would probably pick up, but it's not my fave because I don't seek out specifically strangers to lovers, but I feel like a lot of romance books are just strangers to lovers. Oh, I have another hot take for everyone. Enemies to lovers. I agree with everybody on the one side of that. This is not a romance book trope. If you're just normal old people, you just dislike each other. You're not enemies. Enemies is purely for fantasy romance novels, and that is it. So we're gonna put in doesn't hit unless done right, because if it's not done correctly, it's a no for me, dog. Next one, soulmates. Again, I immediately upon looking at this could not think of a single book I've read that's like a soulmate, like they were meant to be together kind of romance, because I've just never thought about it like that. So I'm gonna put it in haven't read yet, because I haven't read a book where like I knew from the beginning they were supposed to be soulmates, or like that was the whole premise of the book, is like that they're soulmates. Second chance. I'm gonna put this in I would probably pick up, but it's not my fave, because I would probably pick it up, but it is not my favorite. Forced proximity. I was waiting for this one. Immediate 2, I will read any book with this trope, because forced proximity is my favorite trope of all time. I love when they're like forced to be together. Not in a creepy way, but in like an inconveniencing way. Like the American Roommate Experiment. Like they willingly choose to be in a forced proximity situation. Like that is so cute to me. I love when they're kind of like, they butt heads, but they're like forced to either work together on something or live together or something like that, where like there's consent in the proximity that's between each other. But I love that trope. It's so cute. I hate everyone in the world but you. A lot of my favorite books have this kind of male figure in the book where like he hates everybody but is nice to her. But like personally, I'm not seeking out books where like the male love interest hates everyone in the world but her. So like I'm gonna just put it in not a fan. But a lot of my favorite books have that sort of trope, but it's not to the extreme of like I hate everyone but you. You know what I mean? Single parent. I love this trope. In a Jam, 5-star. Love that book. That's single parent trope. The male love interest has a daughter and it's so cute. I feel like it's a very wholesome trope. Like it can be spicy, but most of the time it's very wholesome trope. Like when one is a single parent. I'm gonna move on. I almost want to save this one for later because it's just so chef's kiss, but we're just gonna go with it. Fake dating. Oh my god. I feel like you guys know exactly where this is going. I will read any book with fake dating. I love fake dating. My favorite book of all time at this moment is The Love Hypothesis. That whole book is fake dating. So moving on, we have fake marriage. The only book I can think of that I've read that has like a fake marriage sort of thing going on is The Unhoneymooners. And I didn't hate that book, but I also didn't love it that much. So I'm gonna put it in. Would probably pick up, but it's not my fave. That's all. Okay, second to last, my friends, we have bodyguard romance. The only one I can think of that's like a bodyguard romance that's in my brain that I like immediately put down was like Twisted Games. And I didn't love that one. So I'm gonna put it in the probably would pick up but not my favorite trope spot, because I feel like it truly is like, it's not my favorite trope, but like I would pick up a book if it had bodyguard romance in it. Like it's not gonna deter me from reading it. You know what I mean? Okay, our last and final trope on our tier ranking list is sports romance. I feel like this is very broad, but also like, are you really gonna put like hockey, football? Like, are you gonna put every single sport ever? We're gonna put this in. I will probably read any book with this trope because genuinely I have absolutely loved every single like sports romance I've read. They've always hit and been great. So like, you know, it's perfect. Okay, here is our beautiful tier list. I didn't find a single trope in this entire thing that it was fingernails on a chalkboard. Isn't that amazing? I'm very easily pleased though. So like, it's not surprising that I didn't have any tropes where I felt that I needed to put them in this tier, because I'm again, very easily pleased. So even if it's like a royalty trope, I'm still gonna enjoy the book. Like it's not that deep. Like I said earlier, I'm not here for an educational read. I'm here for an entertaining read. So like, as long as I'm entertained and enjoying the read, I'm probably going to enjoy the trope as well. So it really just depends on if the book is good or not. Okay, that's all I have. That's the whole video. That's all I got. So thank you all for joining me to tier rank. I would love to know your opinions as well on all of these book tropes, because that would just be fun. Anyways, without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. I cannot speak right now. Without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe down below. And don't forget to put on those post notifications so you get a notification the next time I post. Okay, I will see you all next time. Toodles! Mwah! Later, losers.